At the outset, I would like to offer my humble pranams to Bhagwan Baba, whose grace alone is making it possible for me to broadcast this series over Radio Sai. Loving Sai Ram and greetings from Prashanthi Nilayam. We are now deep into the Kishkinda Kandam, and in my last narration, I not only described the exit of Vali, but also how once he became the ruler of Kishkinda, Sugriva lost track of his promise to Rama to start the search for Sita after the monsoon season was over. Lakshmana then storms into Sugriva's palace, ready to tear the latter apart to pieces for failing to keep up his promise. Tara, the wife of late Vali, then tries to cool down Lakshmana, even as Sugriva profusely apologizes for his lapses. I broke off at that point, and let me now pick up from there. Sugriva then said, Lakshmana, truly speaking, Rama does not need anybody's help, and you know that better than any one of us here. I am deeply conscious of the fact that Rama can go to Lanka all by himself, single-handedly annihilate all the Rakshasas, including Ravana, and bring Sita back. He really does not need the help of anyone, least of all me. Yet, he sought my friendship and help, and being slow to keep up my promise, I have erred very badly. I now humbly seek for forgiveness and the opportunity to make amends. Pleased with Sugriva's contrite and positive response, Lakshmana immediately warmed up to the latter, expressing regret that he had hastily used harsh language without fully comprehending the background effort already being made. Trust and amity fully restored, Sugriva, now in much better control of himself, fired a series of commands to Hanuman, as a result of which the principal members of the Vanara groups from the north, the south, the east and the west promptly presented themselves before him with appropriate tributes. Lakshmana was impressed by the quick response, and by way of further boosting his confidence, Sugriva added, What you see here are the team leaders. That's all. Now, soon the main contingents of Vanaras numbering millions would be reporting for duty. Lakshmana, be assured we are dead serious about the search for Sita. Let us now go forthwith to Rama and seek his orders. My palanquin is ready, and I humbly request you to come with me in it. Lakshmana nodded his assent, and soon the two were in Rama's presence. And once they were there, Sugriva quickly gave an overview of the steps being taken to launch a massive search. Highly pleased, Rama responded, Sugriva, I am so happy to learn about all these preparations. I suggest that first we hold intense consultations with your principal counselors about the modus operandi of the operation. Once that is agreed upon, you could issue appropriate instructions for getting on with the search. Supremely happy, Sugriva thanked Rama profusely. Fully charged and feeling now like a mission commander, which in fact he was, Sugriva then slowly looked all round before issuing instructions. Meanwhile, kicking up a huge dust cloud, the Vanaras started arriving in massive groups from all directions. On arrival, they organized themselves into formations, led by their respective commanders, including Prince Angada. After everyone had gathered, Sugriva asked them to squat on the ground. Turning to Rama, Sugriva said respectfully, Rama, this ocean of Vanaras may appear to consist of mere monkeys. In truth, each Vanara is incredibly powerful. Among other things, the Vanaras can not only assume any form of their choice, but also move swiftly both on land as well as on water. They are all without exception valorous and have conquered fatigue. Standing at your beck and command, they are all here for serving you and you alone. This is your army, and it's up to you to issue commands, direct them, and charge them with any mission you choose. All the Vanaras present here, myself included, have only one task, which is to serve you. I have nothing more to say and await your orders. Rama was totally overwhelmed, and he folded Sugriva in a warm and long embrace, after which he said slowly and with great deliberation, "Dear friend, at this moment, there is only one thing uppermost in my mind, which is to find out the whereabouts of Sita. That task I leave entirely to you, your trusted counselors, your generals, and your huge, impressive as well as valorous army. Once Sita has been located, I shall join forces with you. Thereafter, together we shall confront Ravana, annihilate his forces, exterminate him, and complete the mission by liberating Sita. There is only one thing more I would like to say, which is that Lakshmana over here and you are like my two hands." Deeply touched, Sugriva just stood, allowing his silence to convey the depth of his feelings. Turning then to Vinata, a powerful general, Sugriva said, "I would like you to take a big group with you, proceed eastward, and conduct a thorough search for Sita." After describing in detail the vast region Vinata was supposed to cover, Sugriva continued, "You have 1 month during which you must complete the mission. I wish you luck. Come back as fast as you can with the good news that Sita has been found." The eastern search party having been launched, Sugriva then addressed Angada, Jambavan, the wise bear Hanuman, and his trusted general Neela. He said to them, "Your task is to explore the whole of the southern region." And after that, Sugriva described in exhaustive detail the domain they should cover. Not surprisingly, Sugriva made a specific mention of Lanka, and as in the case of the eastern group, gave a time limit of exactly 1 month for reporting back. Valorous Susena was the next to receive order, his search domain being the west. And finally, the equally reputed Satabali was dispatched north with the same objective. Both leaders received detailed instructions, as did the other team leaders, and also the same time limit, namely exactly 1 month. It is reasonable to wonder why Sugriva sent search parties to regions other than the south, when it was known with certainty that it was Ravana who had abducted Sita, and further that Lanka was Ravana's kingdom. Perhaps it was to stress that though Lanka was probably the place where Sita was most likely to be, being extraordinarily powerful, Ravana might well have chosen other spots no one could think of to hold Sita in secret captivity. The search teams having been duly organized and instructed, Sugriva then turned to Hanuman and said, "Hanuman, as the son of the wind god, your ability to move on land, in air and over water is unparalleled. Indeed, there is no place on earth you cannot reach or go to. Besides, you are blessed with enormous strength and abundant wisdom. You are shrewd, smart, agile, clever, ever alert, capable of handling naughty situations, and adept at dealing with adversity of any kind, any place, any time. I therefore want you to think intensively about any special steps we might need to take in the search for Sita. Please apply your mind to it." Hearing such praise, Rama began to reflect. It appears that this particular Vanara is critical to the entire mission. while Sugriva has clearly a very high opinion of him. For his part, Hanuman too appears to exude a quiet confidence. Happy that Hanuman would be involved in the great and massive search, Rama gave Hanuman a ring inscribed with his name and said, "O jewel among the Vanaras, from what Sugriva has just said, it is clear that you would be the one to actually find her. Sita would recognize this ring and be immediately convinced that you are indeed a messenger from me." Receiving the ring from Rama with great respect, Hanuman placed it momentarily on his head. He then held the ring tightly in his palm and prostrated at the feet of Rama. Bidding farewell, Rama then said to Hanuman, "I depend on you, O Hanuman, and may Janaki be found through your valiant efforts." Joining the band of Vanaras led by Angada, Hanuman then moved away. All set, the different groups prepared to go in their respective directions. Offering a few final words of encouragement, Sugriva reminded them once more that time was of essence, and the deadline to report back was exactly 1 month. He was sure that with God's grace, at least one group would return with positive news. The Vanaras rode en masse to demonstrate their enthusiasm, even as the various commanders loudly proclaimed that theirs would be the victorious team. Thereafter, the different search parties dispersed, each headed in the direction it was assigned. When all had left and quiet prevailed, Rama said, "Sugriva, I listened keenly while we were giving detailed instructions to the various groups. I must say I was amazed that you described each region of the globe in such great detail. How come you know so much about this vast earth, including the various regions across the oceans?" Smiling gently, Sugriva replied, "Rama, after banishment by Vali, I ran as fast as I could with only one thought, which was to escape from Vali should he decide to come after me. In that process, I literally covered the whole globe. And that's how I became familiar with minute details about the various regions, north, south, east and west. I kept running till I learnt one day about Mount Rishyamukha, where Vali could never come due to a curse of sage Matanga. That is how I finally established my sanctuary there." Rama, who listened attentively, nodded as if to indicate that he understood. 1 month, the time allotted by Sugriva for reporting back, passed quickly, even as Rama and Lakshmana waited anxiously. One day, as Rama, Lakshmana and Sugriva were seated on top of Mount Prasravana, 3 of the 4 teams dispatched by Sugriva came back at the appointed time, namely the groups led by Vinata who went east, Shatabali who was sent north, and Susena who went west. Offering their respects, they announced that despite their best efforts, they could not locate Sita, which of course caused great disappointment to Rama. The 3 Vanara leaders then said to Sugriva, "Dear leader, please do not feel despondent. We may not have found Sita, but that only means that Hanuman is going to find her. Not only is Hanuman exceptional in all respects, but remember, he is a member of the party that has been sent by you to the south. Now that is significant because that was the direction in which Ravana was seen going. There is still some room for hope." Meanwhile, the group led by Angada began its search starting from the northernmost boundary of the southern region, namely the Vindhya mountains. Angada's plan was to first search thoroughly in all the dense forests and numerous caves there, and slowly moved south. The task was therefore quite difficult, for not only was the region heavily wooded, but also full of wild animals including ferocious lions and tigers. Days passed becoming weeks, but no sign of Sita anywhere. Understandably, many Vanaras became rather despondent seeing which Angada intervened with a pep talk. Offering words of enthusiastic encouragement, Angada said, "Brave friends, we simply must not give up. Remember that at the end of it all, you would like to go back and be reunited with your families. If we go back empty-handed and without any news except utter failure, do you think our leader Sugriva would like it? You know how angry he can become and the kind of harsh punishment he metes out if he becomes displeased. So, keeping at least that in mind, all of us must redouble our efforts and press on. Don't worry. If we strive hard enough, success cannot elude us." Angada's words were actively endorsed and supported by a number of senior Vanaras, after which the intensive search was resumed. A few days later, the group came across a cave named Rikshabala, from which emanated a most delightful and inviting fragrance. The entrance being heavily wooded and covered with a thick growth of creepers, access to the cave was quite difficult. Meanwhile, spotting many birds hovering around, as also many swans with wet skin, the Vanaras concluded that fresh water must be available inside the cave, and with that hope they managed to enter it, though with much difficulty. The cavern was not easy to traverse, but the prospect of finding cool and fresh water drove the Vanaras deeper and deeper into the cave, until they saw a bright light illuminating an amazing grove of wonderful trees, some in full bloom and others laden with most inviting fruits. Clearly, this was no mere grove, because there was also an incredible mansion, whose rooms were furnished with highly ornamental couches studded with gems and jewels. There were also tables bearing gold and silver vessels, laden with food and drinks of various kinds. Perhaps this was a private retreat of some unknown god, cleverly tucked away from public view. And even as the Vanaras were wondering to whom this luxurious palace, hidden deep inside a cave in a thick forest, belonged, they saw an ascetic woman clad in bark of trees and antelope skin. Gently approaching her, Hanuman asked respectfully, "May we know who you are and to whom this place belongs? We are sorry we are intruding upon you, but all of us here are very thirsty and we entered the cave in search of water. And while so doing, we came across this magical palace. Please can you enlighten us how such a fabulous setting exists in such an inapproachable place?" The ascetic lady replied, "This place was created by a conjurer named Maya, who used to be an architect for demons. Maya acquired the power to create wonderful things by propitiating Brahma with intense penance. Once he got the power he was aspiring for, Maya brought into existence this amazing and most luxurious garden for the celestial nymph Hema, and this is where he would sport with her while she sang and danced for him. Hearing about this secret romance between a damsel of heaven and a demon, Indra became angry. Using his thunderbolt, he then slew Maya. My name is Swayamprabha, and I am the daughter of Meru Savarni. Being Hema's friend, I guard this place on her behalf." Swayamprabha continued, "Since all of you are very thirsty and hungry, please help yourself to the food and drink available here, after which you could tell me in leisure who you are and what brought you to this dense forest." Hanuman, to whom the remark was addressed, then narrated in detail how his group came to be where they were. Starting with Dasaratha, Hanuman quickly went through the story of Rama going into exile, the abduction of Sita, the massive search subsequently ordered by Sugriva, and how Hanuman's team was one of the 4 designated search parties. Their task was to search everywhere in the southern region, and thus far they had drawn a complete blank. Hanuman continued, "O noble lady, driven by hunger and thirst we entered this cave, and now we have lost our way. Every minute spent here is one more minute lost, and that's not good for us. You alone can help us get out, which we must since we have to get on with our job. Otherwise, we would face the wrath of Sugriva, which we would rather not. After listening most attentively, Swayamprabha replied, I am moved by the wonderful work you are engaged on behalf of Rama. Using my ascetic powers, I shall certainly help you to get out of here. But first, all of you must close your eyes and cover it with your palms. Under no circumstance must you open your eyes while you are being transported, for if you do, you would remain where you are. The Vanaras immediately obeyed Swayamprabha's command, and in the twinkling of an eye, they were transported to the entrance of the cave. Swayamprabha accompanied the Vanaras to the entrance and asked them to open their eyes. And when they did, the Vanaras were overjoyed, for they were out in the open. Bidding farewell to them, the ascetic lady said, If you look from here, on one side is the Vindhya mountain that you have been exploring thus far. On the other side is the vast Indian Ocean. May good fortune attend you. I shall now return to my abode, leaving you here to decide on your future course of action. With those parting words, Swayamprabha vanished. As the Vanaras tried to adjust to the experience of being out in open space again, they saw the vast and mighty ocean in front of them with waves crashing repeatedly on the shore. The big question facing them was, what do we do next? The stipulated time limit had been exceeded, and Sita had not been found thus far. Clearly, that would make Sugriva furious. Should we abandon the search or go on with it? If the search was to be given up, then what next? A consultation and strategy planning session was hurriedly organized, and one by one the Vanaras began to air their views. Speaking first, Angada said, We have exceeded the time limit and still failed. If we go back and report this failure to Sugriva, he would be furious, not only because we have failed, but also because of the inordinate delay in reporting back. Punishment with death is certain under the circumstances. Instead of facing the executioner, I suggest we embrace death voluntarily right here by simply fasting. Appalled by the suggestion of mass suicide, some senior Vanaras reacted sharply. Why should we meekly court death? Why not instead continue the search for Sita? In case we are lucky, we can go back and all our delays would be totally forgiven because ours would be the only team to report back with positive news on Sita. Another senior Vanara named Tara had a different view. Listen, he said, we have searched all over the Vindhyas and could not find Sita. Right now, we are here at the edge of the ocean. Maybe Ravana carried her over the ocean. He could do it, but can we cross the ocean and search on the other side? Clearly not. Why don't we be practical, go back to the magical palace and simply start living there? That place has everything we might want. What are we waiting for? It was Hanuman's turn next. Directing his observations to Angada, he said, I respectfully submit that most Vanaras here would not like to fasten to death, forgetting wife and family. Hardly anyone here would support your idea, including me and all the senior associates of Sugriva, like Neela over there, the venerable Jambavan here, the mighty Suhotra, etc. As for Tara's idea of staying permanently in the neighborhood cavern that we just came out of, it does not sound like a good idea to me. We certainly might enjoy ourselves for a while. However, pulled by family ties, most Vanaras would soon want to go back. From that angle, the idea of retrieving into the cave has to be ruled out. In my humble opinion, the best course open for us is to go back, report events just as they happened, and leave the rest to the understanding and compassion of both Sugriva and Rama. In short, let us all return to Kishkinda without the least delay. That's what Hanuman said to Angada. I think I shall break off at this point, reserving the rest of the Kishkinda Kandam for the next talk. Meanwhile, I thank you all for being with me and supporting me in my endeavor to share the beauty and glory of the message of the Ramayana with all of you dear listeners over Swami's precious gift, Radio Sai. Lovingly and with great reverence, I offer this talk to Bhagwan Baba. God bless you all and Jai Sai Ram.